Are you ready for the Computer Simulation and Gaming Conference? In this video, I'm going to walk you through the ins and outs of registering for one of our many competitions at this year's CSGC. So to begin with, if you take a look at competitions, you will see that we have two major categories of competitions. We have the simulation and graphics competitions and the game development and design competitions. And we can access these competitions from different locations on the website. So if I go to competition here, this will give me an overview of what both categories are. So if you're familiar with the Heartland Gaming Expo, the game development and design category is essentially the same competitions that were at the former Heartland Gaming Expo. Now, regardless of whether you're doing the game development design categories or whether you're doing the simulation and graphics categories, the submission requirements and details have all been updated for all of these. And so if I were to go, I could go to learn more about each category. I can also go up to competition and go to the drop down and choose one of the categories, such as, for example, simulation and graphics. If I go to this, it will list the 3 competitions that are under that category. So in the simulation and graphics category, we have 3 competitions. We have Computer Animation Festival, we have a digital art show, and we have a computer simulation showcase. And on any one of these pages, if I click on them, it will give you the information regarding the submission overview and all the specific details and requirements for submitting to that competition. Now the same thing goes for our game development and design category. If I click on that, it will give you the 3 competitions in that category, which include the Game Development Showcase, the Game Design Gallery Show, and the 168-hour Code Jam. Again, if I click on any one of these competitions, it will take me to the submission overview. It will take me into subcategories for each one of the competitions. In the case of the Game Development Showcase, there are 3 categories that you can choose to submit. You can choose to submit original traditional games, you can do new tech, which is VR and AR, or you can do game mods. Now again, these rules, regulations, and submission details have all been updated. There are primarily 2 main rules that you need to be aware of in order to enter any one of the competitions. First and foremost is that many of the competitions require a YouTube video. Depending on what competition you're entering, the requirements for the YouTube video will vary. So in the case of our game development showcase here, if you are entering this, you will need to submit a game proposal via a YouTube video. And it says down here what is required of that video. So right here we have our game proposal. It is a 3 to 5 minute video, which is basically a summarization of your game. In this case, it needs to include the premise of the game, who the target market of the game is, any game features, unique selling points, overview of the gameplay, who all worked on the development team, and in general summary for the game itself. And again, this is all shot as a video, and you will submit this via a YouTube link. Now, the other big thing to remember is that all submissions for any one of the competitions is due on April 7th. That is 1 week before the conference. So you are submitting your completed game project, your completed animation, your completed artwork, whichever competition you're entering. All submissions will be submitted online by April 7th and submitted to the judges digitally. This will allow the judges more time to accurately judge each submission. You will still be required to set up and present your work at the competition exhibition day. All the information regarding the competition exhibition day is listed under the competition rules. So under the top menu, under competition, we have competition rules, and this has information regarding the actual setup. Also note that CSGC takes place 2 days. We have Friday, the conference day, which is April 12th, and Saturday, the competition day, which is April 13th. Now, you do not exhibit on the Friday. The Friday is strictly for speaking presentations, workshops, and demos. The competition or exhibition day takes place only on Saturday, April 13th. So it has information on the rules and regulations about setting up your equipment, setting up your booth, coming in, and also information about the teardown and information again about the judging. So I suggest for whatever competition you are entering, you'll want to go to the category page, find the contest, find the rules, find the submission details so you know exactly what you have to submit, and remember that everything must be submitted digitally by April 7th. When you are ready to register, you will go to the registration page on the website. From the registration page, you can choose your mission, whether you want to register as an attendee or whether you want to register as a competitor. In this example, we're going to register as a competitor. So I'm going to click on the competitor registration here, and this is going to open up the competitor registration page. From the competitor registration page, you have a few options. First off, you have the option to actually register. Now, you are not at this point registering for a competition, you are simply registering as a competitor. Once you are registered as a competitor, you can then enter any one of the competitions that you like. Also keep in mind is if you're entering one of the competitions that have team submissions, only one person on your team needs to register as a competitor. So it says here that the team's contact person should be the one registering the team. This can be a team member or it could be a teacher or mentor. It just depends on how your team wants to submit. This goes along with single entries too. So if you're a single person, you'll want to go ahead and register your contact information here. For this example, I'm going to say that I'm going to register Mr. James T. Kirk. And then submit. If there are any errors in your form, the form boxes will highlight red and it will give you a message of the error. In this case, when entering a phone number, do not add any special characters, only add the numbers. Then I can hit submit. Once you have registered, it'll take a few moments and you will be redirected to the competitor login page. So you will use that same username and password that you just created to log in. And from our login page, it will give you a welcome. So I registered as James T. Kirk, and so it says, "Hello, James." And here is the next step. The next step is to enter any one of the competitions. For this example, I'm going to register in the Game Development Showcase. So I'm going to select this competition. And now from inside of here, it will remind me that before I submit, I need to go over the submission details and the competitor's rules. And if I click on any one of these will open a new page that has all that information from the main website. But once I'm ready to actually register for the competition, I need to come in to the submission information down here. So this is the submission details. I need to start off by giving my submission a title. So the name of my game is the Galactic Challenge. In this particular competition, there are multiple categories that I can enter. I can enter different submissions for each category, but I have to do those individually. So I can only choose one category at a time. So in this case, I'm doing the Galactic Challenge for my game submission, and for the category, I have to choose whether this is a traditional 2D, 3D game, whether it's a VR, AR new tech, or whether it's a game mod. In my case, I'm going to just do a 2D, 3D game. And then the next item is what peer group I'm entering as. So I can enter as an elementary student, a middle school student, a high school student, a college student, or an indie professional. So I can choose any one of these. So I'm going to say, for example, I'm entering as a college student. Now, to enter your submission, you need to have your game project hosted somewhere, whether that be someplace like Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, or even on a personal website. You need to share the shared URL for that project. So let's say for this example, I'm going to use Google Drive. So I have my Google Drive open over here, and I have a folder called Galactic Challenge. And if I double click on that, you can see I've got a README file. I've got the actual EXE. So in this case, for the game development showcase, I have to have an actual build of the game. So I've got the EXE, and then maybe I have asset files. Depending on your game engine, you may have working files that all have to be submitted. So what I'm going to do, since all of these files need to be submitted, I'm going to go back to my main folder, and this Galactic Challenge folder here, I'm going to select it, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to get a shareable link. This will allow anybody with this link to look inside this folder. It takes a few moments and it copies the link for me. You can also see that I've got a little person icon on my folder now, and this just indicates that this folder is now shareable. I'm going to go back over to the competition page, and I'm going to paste in that shareable link. Okay, so this is very important. It has to be the link where your files are. If we cannot access the files, then we cannot actually judge your competition entry. Now, if, for example, if I go back in here and it says Galactic Challenge, and you'll notice I have a My Game EXE. So obviously, we're going to need to download this and run the EXE. But the details on how to actually download and play the game and which file to use need to be written in the game instructions. So here I can say download all contents of the Galactic Challenge folder. Double click on the mygame.exe to run the game. Refer to the readme.txt for more instructions. Now, a readme.txt is not required for your submission. You could basically put all the details right here as far as what the judges need to know in order to run the game, any special requirements, special instructions, a special screen resolution to run the game. All of that can be written here. But if you feel necessary to have more detailed instructions, you can put them in a readme.txt. If I go back to my Google Drive, you can see I've included a readme.txt in this folder as well. So you have a couple of options there. Now, the next option is to submit your game proposal. This will be done via the YouTube link. So this is your YouTube video. So I'm going to go to my YouTube channel, and I'm just going to say, for example, let's say this video here is my game proposal. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to scroll down to the share button. This will give me the YouTube link. I'll hit copy. I'll go back over here, and I will paste it in. So you've got two links that you have to provide. The link to your submission content. Again, this could be done through Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive. You just need to make sure that that folder is shareable, meaning whoever has this link can actually read the contents of the folder and download those contents. You're going to provide some instructions, and then you're also going to provide the YouTube link. Down here in this particular competition, you have options to enter multiple team members. So for my first entry here, I'm going to put James T. Kirk as my first team member. Also note that you will want to type your team members' names as you want them to appear on their certificate. Everyone who enters to a competition at CSGC will get an official certificate of submission. In this particular case, I have a 4-member team. There are only slots for 4 members teams. We have designed the competition primarily for no more than 4 members to a team to make the submissions a little bit balanced when judging, knowing that you only have up to 4 people. You do not have to submit as a 4-member team. You could be a 3-member team, a 2-member team. You could even submit this as an individual entry. So you'll notice here that the only name required is member number 1. But you do have the option to work with 4 individuals in total. The last little information is down here at the below. These are our terms and conditions. Again, you will want to review the rules and requirements. You will want to ensure that all entries have been properly submitted and are eligible for the competition. Make sure that you have submitted to the correct contest. Each contest has different requirements for what you are submitting. So again, make sure that you're entering the correct contents. Make sure that you are submitting the correct files. So whatever link you send us for the files, that's what we're going to review. So make sure that that link is the correct files for the competition. Make sure that you have entered the correct category and the correct peer group for the competition. And once again, that you have correctly entered all your members' team names. Finally, make sure that you have the authority on behalf of your team to enter this competition, and that you will again participate at the day of exhibition, and you abide by all the rules and regulations set forth by CSGC. Finally, you're going to click the I am not a robot button and submit. After registering for the competition, you will be redirected back to the competitions page. If you want to see all the competitions that you have registered for, you can go to the profiles page at the top of the menu here. So under profile, this will give you information about you, your personal registration information. You can edit this information. Maybe you've got your phone number wrong, maybe you misspelled your email. You can edit that information here. Off to the side of the profiles, you will see registrations. You will also see on this profiles page, there's information about payment history. Ignore that. The competition is free to enter, so there is no payment history information. You can also choose to reset your password from here or simply log out. Go to registrations. This link will take you to the registration information for your master registration, as well as any competitions that you have entered. If I click on the Game Development Showcase, for instance, this will give me all the details of the registration, and at any point in time, I can edit the submission. If, for example, you suddenly realized you've given us the wrong link to the wrong folder, or maybe the wrong YouTube link, you can edit this information. Note that you have up until before April 7th to change any of this. On April 7th, we're going to download all the submissions and get everything together for judging. So if you need to make a change, make sure that you review this information prior to April 7th. Once you are through registering, you can go ahead and log out. So I can log out and it'll take me to this page that asks me, do you really want to log out? I say yes, and it returns me to the main screen. Let's say that I have registered with the competitor website and I've entered a competition, but I've decided to enter a second competition. So if I'm returning, I would go to the main CSGC page. I'd go back to register. I'd go back to competitor registration. It will take me to the competitor registration. And then from there, I can go to already registered login here, or I can go to competitor login up at the top. So I'm going to go to competitor login. I'm going to put in my username and password. Once again, I'm at the competition registration page. In this example, let's say that we want to enter the digital art show. So I'm going to click on digital art show. And from the digital art show, I get a slightly different selection for entry. The digital art show does not require a YouTube video. It requires a maximum of 3 digital art pieces. So this could be anything from computer illustrations to digital paintings to digital photography, whatever the case. You are submitting sort of a collection. So you can submit single entry or up to 3 as part of a collection. Again, those entries have to be hosted somewhere. So you're going to either have a Dropbox, a Google Drive, a OneDrive, or whatnot. And you're going to submit a shared URL. So let's take a look back on my Google Drive. And you will see in my Google Drive, I have this Supernova folder. In this Supernova folder, I have 3 JPEGs, which are my submissions. This is my collection that I want to share. So once again, I'm going to click on my Supernova folder, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to get a shareable link. It's going to take a few moments, it's going to show it to me, and it's copied that link. So I'm going to go back to the digital art show competition, and then I'm going to enter the provided link, so that shareable folder. Again, I need to read through all the rules, make sure that I've got everything that I need. I'm going to agree to the terms, and I'm going to make sure that I'm not a robot. Then from there, I'm going to hit submit. Once again, if I want to see any of the competitions that I've registered for, I'm going to go to my profile tab. So up at profile, again, I'm going to see that I can edit my personal information. I can also go to registrations, and I can see the different registrations that I have registered for. I've done my general registration, I've registered for the Game Development Showcase, and I've registered for the Digital Art Show. I can click on any one of these, and I can choose to edit any of the information. Just a final reminder that each competition is different. So for example, if I go to the Game Design Gallery show, in this particular competition, I have 3 categories. I have conceptual art, I have animation, I have scoring and sound design, and I have game design. So I can choose any one of these competitions to enter. And depending on the category, they have different requirements. So if I do conceptual art here, again, I'll need to enter my YouTube link. So if I go into YouTube over here and I do get that copy URL, I can paste it in here. Again, let's say that I want to submit, this is for conceptual art. So let's say that over here, I have that Supernova folder. I want to get that shareable link to it, and I can paste it in here. In this example, let's just say I'm working as a single person, and I can submit. Now this is the Game Design Gallery. The Game Design Gallery is made up of multiple categories. So if I go ahead and hit submit, it will return me to the competition page. Now again, if I go to my profile, I can go to registrations and see that I've entered the Game Design Gallery competition. So I click on it and it says here that I've entered the conceptual art. But let's say, for example, that I've also wanted to enter in the sound design, which is also part of the game design showcase. So I'm going to go back up here to enter competitions. I'm going to go back to the game design gallery show. I'm going to go back. I'm going to say that maybe I did the Galactic Challenge is my submission. I'm going to say this time I'm doing sound design, and again this time I'm, let's say, going to be high school student. Once again, I'll need that YouTube pitch explaining what the game is all about. So I'm gonna just do my copy on my YouTube video. So I have my YouTube link for the game pitch. Under the Your Submissions, you will notice that there are different requirements depending on the different categories. So in this case, my animation or sound design entries are simply submitted as a YouTube video. So whether I'm doing a 3D animation of some kind, or if I'm doing sound design, I need to record that as a YouTube video and provide the YouTube link, because essentially it's all one file in sense, and we want to be able to play those files back. So those items will be submitted as a YouTube link. The conceptual art, on the other hand, which is the entry that I just did, is required submitting through Dropbox or Google Drive. And again, in the case of the game design, you wouldn't need a second submission. You're only submitting your game pitch. So in this case, let's just say that I have another YouTube video. So I'm just going to paste in another YouTube video and submit. Once again, I can go to my profile page. I can go to registrations, and I can see that I have 2 entries for the game design gallery. I have the first entry that has the information for conceptual art. If I go back to registration, go to the second game design gallery, and here is the competition for the sound scoring. So I can enter multiple times into these categories with different submissions, different requirements. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you've read all the submission requirements for the competition. The last example that I want to go over with you is the 168-hour code jam, because this competition is a little bit different. So in most cases, you're going to go ahead and whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and register as a competitor. You're going to register for the individual competitions when you've got your content ready to submit to the judges. So you don't have to do those until closer to the deadline. The only competition that you need to enter prior to the deadline of April 7th is the 168-hour code jam. So if you have decided to participate in the 168-hour code jam, you will need to register for that competition by March 31st. So if I click on this, you come into this page and you have 2 options. You have a pre-registration and an entry submission. And prior to March 31st, you need to at least pre-register for this competition. So you need to register as a competitor and then come in and pre-register for this. So maybe you don't have a title yet, so I'll just do Untitled for the submission. And then under peer group, again, you can choose your category. So I'm going to say college in this example, and I am simply doing a pre-registration. And for the game instructions, I can put NA for right now. And then you will need at least 1 team member listed. So I'll do James T. Kirk. And again, you'll want to go in and do the I have read the information. So once again, just scrolling up here, we have entered as a pre-registration. This allows me to get the information for the code jam because the criteria for that competition will be given out on April 1st to everyone who's pre-registered. So if I come down here and hit submit, I have now pre-registered. Once the Code Jam theme has been announced on April 1st, you have until April 7th, so 1 week, to actually complete the Code Jam. Once you've completed the Code Jam, you're going to actually, for that particular competition and that competition only, you're going to go to your profile page. You're going to go to your registration. You're going to go to the Code Jam. So we're going to go to Code Jam and we're going to edit the submission. When we edit the submission, we're going to do entry submission. You'll notice, so if I'm on pre-registration, all I had to put in was my team members' names and a few game instructions. But if I go to entry submission, I now have the link for the final build of your game. So again, that final build folder, whether it be on Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, whatever, you're going to put that shared link here. For the Code Jam, you'll also need a simple design document explaining your project, very similar to the YouTube video required for most of the other competitions, but in the limited amount of time, you just have to write it out as a simple document. Now, this document could be submitted again as a link, or you could use the same folder location as the build. So you could put it all in the same folder and just give us the folder location for both. So it's up to you whether you want to give us the link to the specific file or the folder. But for the build, make sure that you have all the files required to actually play the game. And then once again, you can go in and make sure that you have all your information up to date and submit the competition details. If you are doing the entry submission, you will have to fill out these items or it will not allow you to submit. So if you're only doing pre-registration prior to the date, then you can submit there. And this will take you back to your registration information, and then from there you can return back to your profiles page, just like so. I hope this video has provided you with the information you need to register for the competitions at CSGC 2019. If you have any further questions about registering for any one of the competitions, email us at info@csgconf.com. Our CSGC staff will be responding to all email inquiries as soon as possible. Once again, I hope this information has been helpful to you. Stay tuned for other videos and information regarding the CSGC 2019 conference. We hope to see you there.